Okay, welcome to Project Lakut Siches. Lakut Siches Chelek Yud Gimel, page 85. It's a Siche base of Parshas Balak. This is a very geschmacke Rashi Siche, where the Rebbe is going to discuss a series of Rashis in the last Nevuah of Bilam in this week's Parsha that discusses Achris Hayamim, which a big part of it speaks about the Nevuah regarding Melech HaMashiach. And the Rebbe in this Sikha will contrast the Pirush of Rashi on these Psukim and the Pirush of the Rambam in these Psukim in Hilchas Malachim in Perek Yud Aleph. I think before we actually learn the Sikha inside, we should take a look at these Psukim and take a look at the Rashis on these Psukim. Usually in such a Sikha, the Rebbe would quote the Rashis, bring all the Rashis here inside the Sikha, and then begin with his questions on the Rashis. Over here, the Rebbe is relying on us to see the Rashis are for ourselves inside the Pasuk, Psukim. And therefore, I'm going to begin in Perek Chav Dalet, in Pasuk Yud Zayin, where the Sikha begins discussing the Rashis. And we're going to go through a few Psukim with the Rashis, and then we'll come back to learning the Sikha inside. Pasuk Yud Zayin. Er'enu v'lo yato, ashurenu v'lo korev. Bilam says, I see it, but it's not now. Ashurenu, I view it, v'lo korev, and it's not near. Dorach koichav mi Yaakov, a star shoots from Yaakov. V'kom shevet mi Yisrael, and a rod rises up amongst Yidden. U'mochatz pasi moyav, and he will he will smash the extremities of Moav. V'karke kol b'nei Sheis, and he will undermine all the children of Sheis. So what does Rashi explain? What are all these expressions in this pasuk referring to? Er'enu, says Rashi, Roya ani shivche shel Yaakov u'gdulasai, I see the glory and the greatness of Yaakov, ach lo yata, but it's not now. Ela la'achazman, a time later. Dorach koichav ketargumai, like the Targum over here explains, Loshen dorach kashtoi. It means dorach kashtoi, that like an arrow, a bow and arrow, that so over here the word dorach means also sha'koichav oiver kechetz, that it flies like an arrow. Ubelaz, distant. Koloimar, the pshat here is yokum mazel, a good fortune will arise for Yidden. So that's the pshat of dorach koichav. V'kom shevet, what's the shevet? Melech roide u'moishel. The shevet refers to a king that is a ruler. So the shevet, which is a rod, is a king that has a rod and he rules with it. Umachatz pasi moyav, ze David. This refers to David HaMelech. Shenemar boy, by David HaMelech it says, Hashkev oisam arza, lie them down on the ground. Vayimadet shnei chavolim lahomiz v'goymer, and he measured two chavolim, two widths of a rope to kill them. V'karker, what is the meaning of the word v'karker? Loshin koire. It means to dig or to make a hole. Kamoy ani karti makeves bur nukartem. I have dug makeves bur nukartem, the hole of a pit you have dug. Yikrua erve nachal, the ravens of the stream dig a hole. Furir belaz. So v'karker means to pierce a hole in the bnei sheis. So what we see here in these Rashis, as the Rebbe is going to explain, that these psukim are all talking about the melucha of David HaMelech. But Rashi doesn't point that out until umachatz pasi moyav, as we'll see in the Sikha. Pasuk Yud Ches, v'hoya Edom Yereisha, and you will inherit Edom, v'hoya Yereisha seir oivav, v'Yisrael oisa choyel. So the Seir will also be inherited by its enemies, which are the Yidden, and the Yidden will be strong. What does the pasuk here mean? V'haya Yereisha Seir oivav, la'oivav Yisrael. The Yidden, the enemies of Esav, will inherit Seir. Pasuk Yotes, v'yed mi Yaakov, and there'll be a ruler from Yaakov. V'hevid sarid meir, and he will destroy any leftovers from the city. Sagt Rashi. V'yed mi Yaakov, v'oid yeh moishel acher mi Yaakov, and there's going to be another ruler that will rise from Yaakov. V'hevet sarid meir, he will remove the leftovers, or he'll destroy the leftovers of the city. What are we talking about here? Meir hachashuva shel Edom. This refers to the main city of Edom. V'hiraimi. This refers to Rome. Val melech HaMashiach oy mekain. This refers to Mashiach. Shenema boy, regarding Mashiach, it says in Tilim, V'yed miyom ad yom, that he will rule from sea to sea. V'layiyeh sared leveis Esav. And it says also regarding Mashiach that there'll be no leftovers of the house to the house of Esav. So therefore this pasuk Yutes, refers to Mashiach. This is Rashi on these psukim. Now let's learn the Sikha, and the Rebbe here is going to begin with quoting the Rambam. In the Nevuah of Bilam, where he talks about what will happen ba'achris hayamim in this week's parsha. Pirisha Mefarshim. The Mefarshim say, Sheksuve Nevuah zu, the psukim of this Nevuah, Dorach Koichav, and V'hoya Edoim, and V'yerd, Klalusam Koy al Malchus David, Umalchus Melech HaMashiach. In general, these psukim are speaking about the kingdom of David HaMelech and the kingdom of Melech HaMashiach. Omnam, however, beprati is pirushim shalaksuvim matzina kama pirushim. In the details of how exactly to interpret all the words of the psukim, there are a few pirushim. Umehem, and we're going to quote over here Rashi's pshat and the Rambam's pshat. So Rambam, Besifra Yad HaChazaka Kaisev, the Rambam in Hilchas Malachim says, the Parshas Bilam Chuluhu Oimer, in Parshas Bilam the Torah says, Arenu Veloi Ata. I see it and it's not now. Says the Rambam Zed David. This expression, Bilam is referring to the fact that he sees the kingdom of David. Ashurenu Veloi Karev, I view it and it's not near. Zed Melech HaMashiach. That refers to the Nevuah, that refers to the kingdom of Mashiach. Dorach Koichav Me Yaakov, Zed David. The star that will shoot out from Yaakov is David. V'kom shevet mi Yisrael, and a rod will rise up amongst Yidden. Zed Melech HaMashiach. Upachatz Masi Moyav, Zed David. This refers to David. V'cheinu oime vayach David as Moyav, and Moyav, David HaMelech hit Moyav. V'karke kol b'nei sheis, Zed Melech HaMashiach. Shenema boy umashloi miyam ad yom. He'll rule from sea to sea. V'hoya Edom Yereisha Zed David. Refers to David HaMelech that will inherit Esav, or Edom. Shenema v'hi Edom leDavid avodim v'goyim. They were slaves for David HaMelech. V'hoya Yereisha, and they will be inherited by their enemies, by the Yidden. Zeh Melech HaMashiach Shenema v'olu Mashiach bahar Tzion. So this is the Rambam. So the Rebbe summarizes over here what the Rambam is doing in these psukim. V'hainu, the Rambam mechalek bepirushay kol kasav shebepsukim elu l'shnayim. Everything that's here in these psukim, the Rambam divides it all in two. B'chelkei harishayin hameduber b'David HaMelech. The first part of the pasuk speaking about David HaMelech, or b'chelkei hasheni b'Melech HaMashiach. So the pasuk is never repeating itself. When it says Arenu v'loyato, Asherenu v'lokarev, which is very similar, it's one is speaking about David HaMelech and the other is speaking about Mashiach. And the same with the continuation of the psukim. The pasuk keeps on repeating itself because the pasuk is constantly talking about both David HaMelech and Melech HaMashiach. Omnam Rashi pirish ksuvim elu b'ifenachem. Rashi explains these psukim differently. I see the glory of Yidden in a later time period. That Dorach Koichav and V'kam Shevet refers to a ruler that will stand up amongst Yidden. Sorry, that goes together. Melech Reide U'Moishel. Umachatz Pasi Moyav Zed David. Umachatz Pasi Moyav refers to smashing the extremities of Moyav. This refers to David, Shanema Beichulu. So this is the first psukim. Psukim, pasuk Yud Zayin, that is, all refers to David HaMelech. Then, V'yerd Miyakov, when we come to pasuk Yutes, where it says V'yerd Miyakov, so Rashi says, V'oid yeh Moishel Acher Melech HaMashiach. There'll be another ruler amongst Yidden, which is Mashiach. V'hainu, so Bekitzer, what we see here in Rashi is, Shalepirushay kol hanema b'ksuvim elo. Everything that it says in these psukim, Yud Zayin and Yud Ches, Ad v'yerd miyakov, until you come to pasuk Yutes, v'yerd miyakov koi al David. Even though the pasuk keeps on repeating itself, Arenu v'lo yatash, Arenu v'lo karev, all these different things, Dorach koichav miyakov, v'kom shevet miyisrael, Machatz pasi moya, v'karcha kol b'nei sheis. All of it refers to David HaMelech. It's only in pasuk Yutes where it says v'yerd miyakov, that is referring to Mashiach. So now the question is on Rashi as follows. Why doesn't Rashi explain the psukim here like the Rambam? Hamasim l'chayri yaisel l'pshuta shel mikra, which fits in to the words of the pshat in the pasuk, shezui darka shel Rashi b'pirushi ala Torah, which is the derech of Rashi in his pshat ala Torah, and the Rebbe will explain why the Rambam's pshat would fit more in pshuta shel mikra. Key, because it's as follows. Aleph, number 1. Lefi pirush Rambam, kefil ha'inyan b'chol pasuk, or kafal ha'inyan b'chol pasuk. The Torah repeats in every pasuk the same idea twice. Ki echad medaber b'David v'asheni b'melech HaMashiach. Once it speaks about David HaMelech, and the second time it speaks about Mashiach. So that fits very well according to the Rambam. The pasuk is not simply repeating itself. Ashe'en kein lefi pirush Rashi, shaksuvim kulam ayri b'David. But according to Rashi, that all of the psukim are speaking about David HaMelech. So tzarech loymar, so we have to say sha'arenu geimer and ashurenu. When the Torah writes arenu and ashurenu, that seem to be a repetition. V'chein b'shar aksuvim, and the other expressions that it says in the continuation of the pasuk and the other psukim, pasuk Yud Ches as well, where the pasuk is repeating itself. Hareza arichas v'kefal lashon. The Torah is just repeating the same thing, talking about the kingdom and the rulership of David HaMelech. So why wouldn't Rashi want to explain, like the Rambam, that the Torah is repeating itself because it's referring actually to two different individuals? It's speaking about David HaMelech and about Mashiach. Beis, another question here is, Pashtus HaKosov, the Karker, Kol B'nei Sheis, that he will undermine all of the descendants of Sheis. Sherashi Pirish, and Rashi himself says, Kol Umais, it refers to all the nations. Machriya Kepirish HaRambam. This seems to indicate, like the Rambam's pshat, Shekoy al Melech HaMashiach, that it refers to Mashiach, Sheyichbosh, as Kol Oilam, V'yimlech al Kol Umais, that will in fact conquer the entire world and will rule over all the nations. Mashenkim b'David, which is not the case by David HaMelech, Shalemetzinu be'kibush melucha al Kol Umais. We don't find regarding David HaMelech that he had such a level of kingdom that he ruled over the entire world with all of the nations in the world. The question goes even further. Shalapirish Rashi, Leinema ben Itzchayne shel Melech HaMashiach elarak vehevet sored meir. Regarding Mashiach, all it says is that his kingdom, his victory of Mashiach will be that he'll destroy the leftovers of the city. Pirish Rashi, meirach shuvach uluroimi, that it refers to the main city of Seir, of Edom, which is Rome. So over here, regarding Melech HaMashiach, the Torah says it speaks about one city. It speaks about the city of Rome. But David, and at the same time, regarding David HaMelech, the pasuk is saying even much more than this. That he will undermine all the nations of the world, all the descendants of Sheis. Seemingly, the opposite seems to be true, as we said before, that we don't find that David HaMelech actually ruled over all the nations of the world. We only see that by Mashiach. Another question here is, Rashi loy pirish. When you look into Rashi, there's something very interesting here. Rashi does not tell us, Mihu dorach koichav geimer. Who is this star that shoots out from Yaakov? Shezehu David, which it is David HaMelech. Zed David. Only in the end, in the pasuk of Umachatz Pasim Mayav, there Rashi says Zed David. Shemizeh move on, and I have to understand on my own the Olav Koi Koichav. That David, when Rashi says Zed David, it's not only referring to Umachatz Pasim Mayav, but the beginning of where it says Dorach Koichav Miyakov and the Kom Shevet, it's also referring to David HaMelech. Why does Rashi write it this way? Why didn't Rashi clarify right in the beginning on Dorach Koichav that it refers to David HaMelech? Dalit, another question on Rashi here is, and this is actually a question on Rambam, on the Rambam as well. So in the introduction to this Nevuah, what does Bilam say? That the content of this prophecy is related to Achris Hayomim, the end of all times. Asha Achris Hayomim bepashtus, hainu Yemaisa Mashiach. What is the meaning of Achris Hayomim? The end of all days, referring to the time when Mashiach comes. Achris Kol Hayomim, the end of all times. So if so, that's difficult according to both Rashi and the Rambam's pshat. The Pirish Rambam, according to the Rambam, ki baksuvim meduber heim b'nevuah lezman shel David. And hey, Lizman Shel Melech HaMashiach. So the Psukim here are not only talking about Achris Hayomim, it's speaking about the Nevuah in the time of David HaMelech and also about the time of Mashiach. So why does it specifically say Achris Hayomim? The question is even stronger according to Rashi. In most of these psukim here, it's a prophecy about the time of David HaMelech. It's only the last pasuk, V'yerd miyakiv, pasuk Yutes, that refers to the time of Melech HaMashiach. So why is Bilam saying as an introduction to this entire nevuah that it's all a nevuah for Achres HaYamim? Siv Beis. So continuing on over here, looking again at how Rashi explains these psukim. Ala pasuk V'yerd miyakiv mefarish Rashi. So in the pasuk Yutes, V'yerd miyakiv, Rashi says V'oid yeh moishel acher miyakiv. There'll be another ruler coming from Yaakov. Tzarech lahavin. So here the question is as follows. What forces Rashi to say this, that V'yerd miYaakov refers to another ruler? And not like it would simply seem that this is a pasuk that's following the theme of the previous psukim, and it's adding another detail to what we spoke about before. V'kom shevet v'gomer. So just like v'kom shevet, shalipirish Rashi koyal David. Right, they already said Dorach Koichav Miyakiv, and then it adds V'kom Shevet Misrael Umachatz Pasi Moyev. But Rashi says all of these additional details also refer to David HaMelech. V'kachashav Oy David Naisav. So the same thing we could say over here regarding Pasuk Yutes, that the Torah is adding another detail Sheyasa Oisei HaMoshel and Iskaleil, which the same ruler we spoke about before will do something more, which is V'hevet Sared Meir, to destroy the leftovers of the city. What forces Rashi to say that we're talking about a new ruler? That's going on Melech HaMashiach. There's another question here is, Lama maitik Rashi me'akosov gam tevas miYaakov. When Rashi explains this pasuk, and he brings the words of the pasuk, he doesn't just bring V'yerd, the ruler, he's going to rule, to identify who this ruler is, but he also brings the word miYaakov. Hare chidushoi hurak asher V'yerd pirushoi v'oid yeh moishel acher. The only chiddush of Rashi here is to explain the word V'yerd, that refers to another ruler, V'sulai, not more. So why does Rashi quote the word miYaakov? The words that Rashi quotes from the psukim is always key to understanding the pshat of Rashi. So why does Rashi here bring the word miYaakov? Continuing in Rashi's pshat, in Pasuk Yutes, Maitik Rashi v'hevet sored mi'ir, Mefarish and Rashi says, mi'ir hachashuva shel Edom cholu, from the main city of Edom, v'al Melech HaMashiach ha'imekain. This refers to Melech HaMashiach. So here Rashi identifies who this new ruler is, that it refers to Mashiach. Or maybe Beis Rayas, and Rashi brings two proofs for this. Shenema boy v'yerd miyom ad yom, because regarding Mashiach it says that he'll rule from sea to sea. Shemizeh muvan shev'yerd miYaakov. So we understand that this koy al Melech HaMashiach. And v'lo yeh sared lebeis Esav, the pasuk v'lo yeh sared lebeis Esav, which is also referring to Mashiach. Haychoche l'mashakasa v'hevet sared mi'ir. So we see that this refers to Mashiach. So Rashi brings one raya from the expression of Yerd, that it refers to Mashiach, and another raya where it says Mi'ir, v'hevet sared Mi'ir, that over here as well when it says the pasuk v'hevet sared Mi'ir, just like over there it says v'lo yeh sared lebeis Esav, so the sared refers to Mashiach. V'yesh l'daik v'divrei Rashi. So over here in this Rashi as well there are the following questions. Aleph, Kol ha'inyan d'va'al Melech HaMashiach hulu. This conclusion here that Rashi says that this pasuk here is talking about Mashiach. Rashi should have said this earlier. After Rashi tells us on the pshat of V'yerd miYaakov that that there'll be another ruler, so Rashi should have immediately said, who is this new ruler that we're speaking about? That it refers to Mashiach. Regarding him it says V'yerd. So why does Rashi delay explaining, identifying who this new ruler is until after he explains v'hevet sared mi'ir, and not before, immediately when he says there'll be a new ruler? Similar question to what the Rebbe asked before, beneged to when Rashi identifies the previous psukim that it refers to David HaMelech. He also doesn't say that right away. He only says it later. Beis Maya Raya Ma'akosav V'yerd miyom ad yom. What raya is there from the pasuk V'yerd miyom ad yom that it refers to Mashiach? The Bepashtos Medaber Akosav Melech Shloime. That's a pasuk in Tilim that speaks about Shloime Melech. That it speaks about Shlomo Melech, v'loi b'melech HaMashiach. It's not a pasuk talking about Melech HaMashiach. Gimel, another question here is, B'harayim ha'kosov, v'yerd miyam goyme, maitik Rashi gama tevois ad yom. That he'll rule from sea, and Rashi concludes, and to the other sea. Shalachayre einan mesifas klum b'toichan haraya. It doesn't add anything to the content of the proof that Rashi is bringing here. Rashi just wants to bring you the expression of v'yerd, that the expression v'yerd, we find that it refers to Mashiach. So even if Rashi has to bring v'yerd ad yom, the Rebbe explains in Order 21 why Rashi quotes the words ad yom, but why does Rashi conclude the pasuk miyom ad yom? Sorry, again, even if Rashi has to quote the word miyom, but why does Rashi have to quote additionally the conclusion of ad yom? Now you'd think, well, if Rashi's quoting it, so Rashi quotes the whole pasuk that he brings the raya from there. Rebbe says no. V'divrei Rashi alei meduyakim meim chaser v'yater. The words of Rashi are precise. There's nothing missing and there's nothing extra in every single word of Rashi. Even in this proof that Rashi is bringing to identify who v'yerd is, there's a reason why Rashi quotes the pasuk v'yerd miyam and adds ad yom as well. Okay, so we have a bunch of questions over here. 9 in total, if I remember correctly what's going on here, perhaps more, where the Rebbe is going through a number of different Rashis, and different than the Rambam and the Pshat of these Psukim. Basically, the questions of the Rebbe over here is, how does Rashi come to his conclusion to divide the Psukim this way? Why doesn't Rashi divide it the way the Rambam does? And the details, the Achris Hayomim, doesn't seem to make sense. According to Rashi, Pasuk Yud Zayin, Pasuk Yud Ches is not talking about Achris Hayomim. They're both talking about David HaMelech. And also, when Rashi says V'yerd miYaakov, when Rashi does finally come to the pasuk where it's talking about Mashiach, so why here suddenly what's Rashi's raya that it's talking about Mashiach? If the term Achris Hayomim wasn't enough of a proof that it's talking about Mashiach, so where does Rashi see in V'yerd miYaakov that it is talking about Mashiach? What forces Rashi to say this? And a few other questions that the Rebbe had over here. So the explanation here is as follows. Rashi v'Rambam mechulakim kan be'inyan klali. Rashi and the Rambam are arguing on the general approach and understanding this nevuah that Bilam was saying here. In what exactly is the purpose and the point of this nevuah that Bilam was focusing on, Kidlakaman, as we'll explain. And the Rebbe starts from the beginning of the parsha to look at the story over here in Pshutish Mikra, according to Rashi, to understand where Bilam is coming from, to give us an insight into what really the theme of Bilam's prophecy was about. Nevuase shel Bilam haisa b'teitza mizeh shebalak sochar oisai v'heviyoi lekal es b'nei Yisrael v'limnoya kibush artzi shel Balak moyev al yidei b'nei Yisrael. What's the whole prophecy of Bilam all about? It all comes from Balak that hired him and brought him to curse the Yidden and to prevent Yidden from coming and conquering his land, to conquer the land of Moav. That's the content. That's the context of the story over here of the nevuah of Bilam. So now here, when it comes to the final nevuah of Bilam, so Balak tells Bilam, but Bilam, that is. Bilam tells Balak at the conclusion of his nevuah, before he goes back to his city where he came from, so he's going back to his nation, again, he's telling Balak, before Balak goes back to his people, to his nation, he's telling him, what will Yidden do to your nation, to Moav, that is, in the end of all times. What is it that Yidden in the future are going to bring upon Moav in the future, in the end of times? So that's the theme over here. The point is that Bilam, there were many nevuahs that Bilam over here said, and finally Balak saw this was not successful. Bilam did not curse the Yidden. So before Bilam is leaving, Bilam finally turns to Balak and lets him know what's going to happen to his nation, to Moav, ba'achris hayomim. So Olechei move on, b'pshutei shel mikra, and the pshat of the pasuk is understood. Even though the expression used here is achres hayamim, shebepashtos pirusha b'chol makayim b'soiv kol hayamim. Usually, the pshat of that expression is at the end of all times, the time of Mashiach. But arekan shabala hatzdik atzmai b'fnei Balak. Over here, it's really Bilam coming and justifying himself, justifying his failure to Balak. That over here he came, he brought him to curse Eden, that they shouldn't conquer the land of Moav, and he failed. So really the conclusion of this whole story, Bilam is coming to justify himself. Shenismale ratzon Balak, and really what he's telling Balak is, your will be fulfilled. Now the Yidden will not conquer your land. It'll happen in the future. It'll be a different time period when Yidden will come and conquer your land. So move on, it's understood, should be Iker. Primarily, what is the content of this nevuah of Bilam? Who miskaven lo hidi aloi, his intention is to let him know, shekibush moyev ayidei Yisrael yeh bizman Balak. It's not going to happen now. Kiyim zman rav la'achar yomim de Balak. It's going to happen many years after Balak will be gone. That's the main thing he's telling him. So in this context, achres hayamim means many days later after Balak. It's talking about achres hayamim kipshutoi in the end of all times. Because the content of this nevuah is about Bilam justifying himself that now you have nothing to worry about. Your land won't be conquered. It's going to happen later, much after your time. Ella, however, Shalishleimus in Nevuasai, once he begins talking about what will happen in the future, that the land of Moav will be conquered, Meisav Gam, so he adds the completion of the story, Mashayasa Amla Amcha Bazman Dachas Hayam Kipshutoi, the Gam Zeba Behemshach Nevuasai. What's going to happen at the end of all times, literally, in Achras Hayam when Mashiach comes, which is a continuation and the conclusion, the Shleimus of this Nevuah of the Yidden conquering and ruling over the entire world. So Hainu, what this means is, Shanavuah, to put this in different words, Hanavuah leba lahadgish gaidla shememsheles Yisrael kashala. According to Rashi, in the pshat of the pasuk, we're not coming over here to emphasize the greatness of Yidden to themselves. The greatness that Yidden will experience in the future, the level that Yidden will be on, and the rulership of Yidden all over the world. That's not the theme of the psukim here according to Rashi. We're talking about the effect of Yidden, the greatness of Yidden in relation to Moav specifically, because this is Bilam talking to Balak regarding his nation Moav, and also regarding the other nations, that they will be conquered by the Yidden. So even if it's true that according to Rashi, Bilam does conclude the nevuah and doesn't talk only about Balak, but it also talks about the Chlal, how the Yidden are going to rule all over all the nations. And it also includes the nevuah of Mashiach, how Yidden are going to rule over the nations. But nevertheless, the point of this nevuah is not to talk about the greatness of Yidden, who Yidden are going to be, what Yidden for themselves are going to experience La'asad Lavai, and how powerful they are going to be La'asad Lavai, which is expressed by the fact that they'll rule over all the nations. Adarabah, the whole theme over here is to talk about how they're going to affect the nations, starting with Moav, how they're going to conquer Moav, and then continuing and completing the picture and talking about how Yidden are going to conquer all the nations of the world. That's the basis over here for Rashi's approach in understanding these psukim. So based on this, Maschel Rashi Pirusha El HaKosev Dorach Koichav Miyakiv. So Rashi begins his interpretation of the words Dorach Koichav Miyakiv. Umefarish, and Rashi says Kitargumai Loshem Dorach Kashtoi Shar Koichav Deirech Kechetz. It's a star that shoots out like an arrow. Koloimar Yokum Mazel. A good fortune will rise for the Yidden. Ve'ene Mefarish. So here at this point, Rashi does not say the Koyal Melech Moshel Sheyakum B'Yisrael, that there's a king. Rashi does not identify who this king is that will stand up, that will rise amongst Yidden. Vatam. Why doesn't Rashi say it at this point? B'nei Adam, so here the Rebbe says a very interesting thing. B'nei Adam heimamin hamu'ule b'sugi balichaim. The human being is the highest species amongst living beings. Shehem l'mayla medayim v'tzemech, which of course is above the inanimate and the what grows. So hayos, what's the reason? Ubehem hayisrein shaldeya v'dibur. As Rashi says in Bereshis, the human being has the advantage of intellect and speech. So therefore the human being rules over the animals. As the pasuk says there in Bereshis, that the human being rules over the fish and the birds and the animals. So this is because a human being has intellect and is able to communicate, and that's the power of rulership that a human being has. Looking at people, the king amongst human beings is the one that's exalted, that's higher than the rest of the people. He's the one that rules over everybody else. So if we're looking to give a mashal, if we're looking to give an example for a ruler amongst human beings, and the whole mila of human beings is what? The fact that they have intellect and the ability to communicate. What would be a good mashal for that? Is a star a good mashal for a king that's amongst people, that is rules over people? That's not a good mashal, as the Rabbi explains here now. When it comes to stars, we don't find that they have this mila, that they have intellect. So therefore in the pshat of the pasuk, Rashi holds that it wouldn't make sense to say, just looking at these words of Dorach, Koichav, Miyakov, Shehem, Mashal, V'dugme, L'melech HaMoshel, that this is the choice for the metaphor for a ruler, for a king amongst human beings. If the whole mile of a human being is his seichel, his intellect, and the Kechavim do not have any intellect whatsoever, so of course Nevuas Bilam was all written as a mashal. But why is this the mashal for a ruler amongst people? Amongst people, the ruler, the power of a leader, of a ruler, is the seichel that he has, the intellect, and that's the way he leads and rules over people. So therefore Rashi does not think that you can say that Dorach Koichav, that a star comes out, refers to a melech, to a ruler. Hainu David, referring to David HaMelech. That's why Rashi does not say this here in the beginning. When Rashi explains Dorach Koichav, he says there's going to be a good fortune that's going to arise amongst Yidden, but he doesn't identify it as David HaMelech. Deichik gadol lefarish. It's a deichik to say shaharemez lemalchos, that the hint for kingdom in a star, hu bezeh shakechavim im lemayla ma'aretz, that stars are above the earth. Umiyirim la'aretz, they shine, their light reaches the earth. V'ladorim alah, the inhabitants of the earth. Lahavdul ben hayoyim v'ben halayla, and they separate between day and night. Shezeu ke'en shlita binyanei aretz. So in this sense, the stars dominate in the matters on the earth. Kolosh nakasav v'limshul bayoyim u'balayla, to dominate day and night. So in that sense, we do find a concept of rulership in the stars. So the Rebbe says that's a big deichik. The pasuk would have used to hint this rulership of the that it says to distinguish between day and night. So this is the Meiris HaGedolim, Hashem Meshoya, the sun or the moon, v'lei koichav, not a star. Amongst this moon and the sun, the star is much smaller, much less significant. Using it as an example for a ruler is a big deichik. It's only part of the army of the smaller luminary, which is the moon. So it's insignificant in relation to the moon and definitely the sun. So if you want to look, we're bringing an example, a mashal for the melucha of a king, for David HaMelech, it doesn't make sense that the pasuk is talking about a star. So therefore, at the beginning, Rashi says, Dorach Koichav, it does not speak about David HaMelech. It speaks about a star. It speaks about the mazel. Olachem mochrach Rashi loymar. Shedorach Koichav pirushay yakum mazel. The Koichav over here means that the mazel of the Yidden will rise. And then the pasuk continues to explain what is this mazel all about. That this mazel will be a ruler, there'll be a rod that will rule amongst Yidden. At this point, when the pasuk continues and explains that we're talking the Kom Shevet, that there'll be a ruler, a rod, that will rise up amongst Yidden, there's no raya at this point to which king we're speaking about. Gam Rashi lepirish boy mi hu melech reide. Rashi doesn't identify who this ruler is because there is no raya who this ruler is. What we see here is that Bilam is telling us in Nevuah, V'dorach koichav refers to the mazel of Yidden. The mazel of Yidden will rise. And that mazel of Yidden will rise, then after that the pasuk spells out, there'll be a king amongst Yidden. Who this king will be, there's no raya to identify who this king will be. Rashi doesn't have a raya. At she'omer HaKosuv u'mochatz pasi moyav d'mizeh moichiach Rashi shezeh David shenemar boy hashke v'yisam artzacholo. Over here, regarding this pasuk, Rashi has a raya shenemar boy that it does say that David will lie him down on the ground. So it's a meres, and now we can understand shekol inyan dorach koichav v'kom shevet hanemol of neizeh. Everything it spoke about before, when it said koichav, that the mazel of Yidden will rise. And when it spoke about a king ruling amongst Yidden. So now we understand that everything it said before, Musav al Zmanei Shel David, it's referring to the time period of David HaMelech, Val Dvar Malchusay, and it's speaking about his kingdom. So only when we come to the Machatz Pasi Moyav, where Rashi has a raya, that Machatz Pasi Moyav refers to David HaMelech, do we now understand retroactively that the psukim before refers to what's going to happen in the time period of David HaMelech. But as far as the actual taich of the words over there, when it says v'kom, or when it says dorach koichav cannot be referring to a king. Dorach koichav refers to the mazel that Yidden, the great mazel that Yidden will experience in the time period of David HaMelech. As the Rebbe explained, a ruler, a mashal of a koichav for a ruler is not an adequate mashal. So therefore there Rashi doesn't say that. There Rashi says that it refers to the mazel. And then Rashi says that mazel will be a king. And who is the king? Umachatz Pasi Moyav. Only when you come to Umachatz Pasi Moyav could we identify that this refers to the time period of David HaMelech. So based on this approach over here, that in the psukim over here, we're not necessarily talking about Achris Hayomim that refers to the end of all times of Mashiach. Hayais over here, as the Rebbe pointed out, according to Rashi, the context of the Nevuah of Bilam is speaking about Bilam telling Balak that it will be a later time, after you, Balak, will be gone, that the Yidden will come and conquer Moav and conquer the other lands of the nations. But it's not necessarily speaking at a later time period of Melech HaMashiach. So if so, we understand the continuation of everything that it says in these psukim here, as long as we don't have a raya that is speaking about another king, it's referring to this king which Rashi identifies, that this refers to David HaMelech. He has a clear raya that this refers to David HaMelech. So as long as we don't have any reason to say that there's a new king over here that we're speaking about, the Achras Hayomim in this pasuk is speaking about the time period of David HaMelech. There's no reason to say that it refers to any other time period. So therefore Rashi says, V'karker Lashon Kaire Naikif, that the meaning of the word V'karker means that he will pierce, he will dig a hole. So one of the questions that I've asked before in the Sikha is, V'karker Kol B'nei Sheis. In the time of David HaMelech, did this happen? Did he undermine all the descendants of Sheis, all the nations of the earth? We don't find that David HaMelech ruled over all the nations of the earth. So therefore Rashi comes and clarifies this by interpreting the word V'karker. The Pirish Teves V'karker, in the pshat of this word V'karker, Yeshleima Beis Pirushim. There are two options. Aleph, Meloshen Harise, to completely destroy. Kamoi Mekarker Kir, you destroy, you dismantle a wall. That's one pshat. But Beis, another pshat is Miloshen Kaire Naikev, a person that's piercing, he's digging a hole. Kepirish Rashi, and that's Rashi's pshat. What's the difference? The Lepirish Aleph, according to the first pshat, Hainu Hiros V'Hashmada Legamri. This refers to completely destroying, completely getting rid of whatever V'karka is talking about over here, getting completely rid of the nations of the earth, totally ruling over them. But Lepirish Abeis, Kepirish Rashi, the second pshat, which Rashi chooses here, Ein Ze Heretz Shel Hashmada. We're not talking about completely destroying the nations of the earth. It's like when you make a hole you dig, you remove the earth from its place and you create a hole, taking it, displacing what's there into another place. So it's only affecting it to a certain extent, removing it, displacing it, but not destroying it. Since Rashi says that referring to David HaMelech, so Rashi says that v'karker only means to make a hole. David Taka did not completely destroy and will not rule over all the descendants of Sheis. It's only his rulership affected them to some extent, like when a person digs and he displaces the earth of one place to another. So this answers the question how this could be referring to David HaMelech. So this is the basis over here for Rashi's Pshat, for Psukim Yud Zayin and Yud Ches, that the Psukim over here, when it speaks about Achres HaYomim, it's speaking about Achres HaYomim in the context of the Nevuah of Bilam speaking to Balak, and sort of justifying his failure, that your land will not be conquered now, and there'll be time in the future it'll happen, but not now. And therefore the future doesn't necessarily refer to a later time period at the end of all times of Mashiach, but it refers to the time of David HaMelech. So Rashi says there's no reason to say that there's another ruler that we're speaking about over here in these psukim other than David HaMelech. The Torah is just giving you all the details about what's going to happen in that time period of David HaMelech. Omnam Rambam HaMefarish Adorach Koichav Miyakev Koyal Melech Sheyakim Miyakov. The Rambam, he says that Dorach Koichav Miyakev, a star will shoot out from Yaakov. So Koichav, the Rambam says, it refers to a king. Koichav does not refer to a mazel. Koichav does refer to a king. L'shitase azal. The Rambam follows his opinion, which the Rambam explains himself in Hilchas Yisaydi HaTorah. Kosav Rambam, the Rambam there writes, Kol akechavim v'agalgalim kulam, all the stars and galaxies, balei nefesh v'deya v'haskel heimchulu. They have a nefesh, a soul, an intellect. V'das akechavim, in fact, the das, the intellect of the stars, g'dei l'midas b'nei adam, is greater than the intellect of the human being. So the Rambam holds that a star does have das, does have intellect. So mikivin shehem l'mayla meklolos b'nei adam b'sichlam u'b'daitam. So since stars have intellect, and their intellect is greater than the intellect of human beings, so a star is the perfect mashal for a king, which amongst human beings that are characterized by their intellect rises above the rest of people. The Koichav Miyakov and Melech B'Yisrael. So therefore Koichav Miyakov refers to a king amongst Yidden. So if according to the Rambam, Dorach Koichav Miyakov already refers to a king, it's not just a mazel, like according to Rashi, but it refers to a king. So if so, Masha Omar HaKosav La'achrizeh, when the pasuk afterwards says, V'kom Shevet MiYisrael, that a rod, a ruler, will stand up amongst Yidden, Shekoi Bevadai, which this is it's obvious, K'mashmusa Shel Shevet, which is Melech Reide, this refers to a ruler. A Melech B'Yisrael, the Torah is again referring to a king. So, it doesn't make sense to say that it's referring to the very same king. The Torah would be repeating itself. So, therefore the Rambam says that we divide the pasuk and one part refers to David and the other part refers to Mashiach. Shehem, Shnei, Mashiachim, the two Mashiachim, the two kings amongst Yidden, David HaMelech and Mashiach. So it all begins with the fact that according to the Rambam, Koichav is a perfect mashal for a king. So once that refers to a king, so then the Kom Shevet MiYisrael has to refer to a different king. Otherwise it's a repetition. Why does the Rambam speak about these two kings? There were many other kings between David and Melech HaMashiach, there are many other kings in between, starting with Shlomo Melech and so on. Why are we talking specifically about these two kings? And what's the connection between them? Move on, Alpi, Loshna Rambam. This is understood based on what the Rambam himself there says. Melech HaMashiach Osad Lamoid V'lahachsa Malchus Beis David L'yoshna L'memshala Rishayna. Mashiach will come and return the kingdom of David to the state that it was before, to its original rulership that David HaMelech had. Hainu meaning, so over here in the context of the Nevuah of Bilam, Sheniba al Klalos Tekumasam v'Yishuasam ha'asidu lavai al yedei malchusai shel melech HaMashiach. Really, the Nevuah of Bilam is referring in general to the salvation that will come through the Melucha of Mashiach, that Mashiach will come and save Yidden. That's really what's referring to. V'ramaz la'aschalasa David u'letachlis shleimusa Mashiach. But over here, the rulership of Mashiach that Yidden will have, the salvation that comes from Mashiach, it begins somewhere. It begins by David HaMelech, and then Mashiach will complete that Melucha that David HaMelech began. So really, according to the Rambam, Achris Hayamim over here is referring to the greatness of Yidden and the Melech HaMashiach and the ultimate salvation that Yidden will experience with Melech HaMashiach. Elamai, it begins with David, and then it comes to the completion of Mashiach that's going to bring and return the Melucha of David. So therefore the Rambam says, Niba b'shnei Mashiachim, that the Nevuah here is on both Mashiachim. Mashiach Harisha and Shu David she'ishias Yisrael miyatzareim. David HaMelech that saved Yidden from their enemies. Or Mashiach HaAchron she'oimid mi bonav. And the Rambam stresses that Mashiach HaAchron will stand up from his descendants. She'meshiach Am Yisrael ba'achroina. That will complete this ultimate salvation at the end of all times. So now, if this is the case regarding this section of the Pasuk, that the Pasuk right away talks about David and Mashiach, and the main focus over here is that David is the beginning and Mashiach is the conclusion, and that's the way the Pasuk begins. Move on atam lekefel habituyim bahanavua arenu and ashurenu and machatz pasimoyov and vekarke v'gaimer. That over here the Pasuk is speaking in a similar style. The chad koyal David. And v'idduch al melech HaMashiach, that the pasuk begins with David, which is starting the salvation of Yidden, and then concludes with Mashiach, which will return the Melucha of David and also complete the salvation. So now according to this, it would come out that according to the Rambam, in Yoneshel v'karker, the pshat of v'karker, here in this there will also be a difference. Who like a Pirish Rashi canal. It's not like Rashi that Vikarka just means to puncture a hole or to dig a hole. Ela harisasan ubitulan shel mamsheles ha'umais. Completely destroy, completely nullify the rulership of the nations. Because we are referring to Melech HaMashiach, which will completely eradicate any leftover of the rulership of the nations of the world. So now the Rebbe comes back to the general theme of Achris Hayamim, according to the Rambam, which is different than Rashi. So based on this we have to say, Lefi Pirish Rambam, according to the Rambam's pshat, Shekavanas Bilam b'nevuasai, so Bilam's intention with his nevuah, Haisa be'iker letayer as tokfa ugdulasa ho'asida shalom sheles b'nei Yisrael, to describe the greatness and the great rulership of Yidden. Yidden will be saved from all nations, and how Yidden will rule over them. We're not talking about the greatness of Yidden as far as how they'll have the ability to affect and conquer other nations. The greatness in the context of a very specific inyan of how they're going to conquer Moav or conquer any other nations. He's talking about the greatness of Yidden. What's going to happen by Achris Hayamim at the end of all times, that the true greatness of the Yidden will be expressed and fully realized in the entire world by the fact that they'll be saved from all nations and rule over all the nations. But it's talking about the greatness of the Yidden. So now, if so, according to the Rambam, in the pshat of the pasuk, so Bilam says, that I come, I will tell you, Balak, what the Yidden are going to do to your nation. Conquering the land of Moav, Ve'ha'umais, and other nations, Aydei Am Yisrael, through the Yidden. So according to Rashi, that was the whole flow here. We're not talking about the greatness of the Yidden Kishla Atzmai. We're talking about the greatness of Yidden B'yachas to Moav, how they're going to eventually come and conquer Moav. That's understood. But according to the Rambam, the focus over here is to explain the greatness that Yidden will reach and the might of Yidden Lasad Lavai. So why is the opening statement Yasa Omazela Amcha? So according to the Rambam, we'll have to say, Ein zois betura gedome klolis letoichen anavuah de lahalam. This opening statement of Bilam is not a general introduction to the content of what the Nevuah is about. Rather, Pesach Davar V'tam La Nevuah. It's just an opening, an entrance in, and a reason why the prophecy goes into this subject. This, which Balak was trying to prevent Yidden of not being able to do to his nation, this is the opening that brings the prophecy to talk about the fact that eventually Yidden will be victorious over all of their enemies. Which begins with what Yidden will do to your nation, and what Yidden will eventually do to all nations. And when is this going to happen? At the end of all times, in the times of Mashiach. It will begin by David the Malach and will be completed in the times of Mashiach. The Pasuk is focusing on the times of Mashiach. So according to the Rambam, and the Pasuk is not talking over here, the Nevuah is not about the effect of Yidden, the actions of Yidden in relation to the Goyim, of how they're going to conquer Moav. It's actually coming to talk about the greatness of the Yidden. But the opening and the entrance into this is by speaking about the ability and the greatness of Yidden to conquer Moav and to conquer all the land. And that leads you into the main theme over here, which Bilam speaks about, which is the greatness of Yidden that they'll have lost of Lavai. So therefore the Rambam, how does he explain B'achris Hayomim, Shebakdamas Nevuah, which it says here as an introduction to this Nevuah, Kipshutan. The Rambam does learn B'achris Hayomim like the usual meaning that it refers B'soif Kol Hayomim, the end of all days. Here in these psukim, it's talking about the salvation of all Yidden from all nations. Primarily, the kavanah of this nevuah is to Mashiach. And as the Rebbe pointed out before, even when it talks about David, it's talking about David as the beginning of the shleimos that will come through Mashiach. And especially the pasuk of V'yerd, pasuk Yutes, which even Rashi says refers to Mashiach. And definitely according to the Rambam, that entire pasuk refers only to Mashiach. So this is the general difference here that we can see in the theme of these psukim, in what the content of the nevuah of Bilam is all about. Is it talking about the greatness of Yidden as far as what they will do to the Goyim, their effect on the Goyim regarding conquering Moav, regarding conquering other nations? Or is it talking about the greatness of the Yidden, the Memshala, and the greatness of the Yidden B'chlal, which will be expressed by the fact that they'll be saved of all nations and rule over the nations of the world, but it's talking about the greatness of the Yidden. And you see the difference also, as the Rebbe explained, in the taich, in the interpretation of the words in the pasuk itself, whether we take a look at the pasuk kipshutai, Rashi taiches la'amcha kipshutai. That when it says Ashayasa Amazela Amcha, this is an indication that all Bilam is speaking about what's relevant b'nigeya to the rulership of Yidden over of your nation, Moav, and other nations. Mashenk and the Rambam says, no, the Li'amcha, that's just the opening into the main nevuah that Yidden are the greatness of the Yidden. They're going to conquer your nation, and B'chlal they're going to rule, to talk about the greatness of Yidden B'chlal. And then, as the Rebbe said, the two different pirushim in Achris Hayomim. According to Rashi, Achris Hayomim just means a long time after Balak will be gone. Mashenkin, according to the Rambam, Achris Hayomim means literally that all these psukim is talking about Achris Hayomim. And the Rebbe says a geschmack of art, even when the psukim over here talks about David, according to the Rambam, David is the haschal of Mashiach. Because Mashiach is really the whole shleimus of expressing the melucha, of bringing back the melucha of David, and completing what David the Melech began. So now the Rebbe will come to Pasuk Yutes according to Rashi, which the Rebbe didn't explain yet. This pasuk V'yerd mi Yaakov, gam Rashi mefarshoi shalekoi al David. Even Rashi says that this does not refer to David. Elo, rather, v'oid yiyeh moshel acher mi Yaakov. There'll be another ruler coming from Yaakov. V'chreichel lefarshkein. What forces Rashi to say this? Lepirish Rashi, haremes ba'kosav de le'el sheyakum melech roide o moshel b'Yisrael David. Before, when the Torah said that there'll be, when the nevuah here was saying that there'll be a ruler, a melech amongst Yidden, merumezu b'tevis v'kom shevet mi Yisrael. The pasuk says that there'll be a rod, there'll be a leader that will stand up from Yisrael. V'loi b'dorach koichav mi Yaakov. It doesn't use the term And it's not hinted, you do not see it in Dorach Koichav Miyakiv. As the Rabbi explained before regarding Rashi, when it says Dorach Koichav Miyakiv, Koichav is not a mashal for a king. Koichav is a star, and a star is not a mashal for a king. So when it uses the term Dorach Koichav Miyakiv, it's just talking about the good fortune of the Yid, the mazel. It's only the Kam Shevet Mi Yisrael, which is talking about a king. Because of Zed, the V'yerd Mi Yaakov, Kavanas Eloi, say Melech David, if in this parsuk, V'yerd Mi Yaakov, it's referring to the same king that it spoke about before, Havalelemeima, V'yerd Mi Yisrael, Kedeleil. So it's a continuation. It's adding another detail about that king that we spoke about before. It should have said, V'yerd Mi Yisrael, not Yaakov. When it said Yaakov, it was talking about the mazel. Only when it uses the term Yisrael before is it referring to a king. So therefore we must say changing the name and saying that there'll be a ruler, and over here identifying this ruler to another name of Yaakov, that there is going to be another ruler that will come from Yaakov. And it's not referring to Vikam Shevet Mi Yisrael, which is how the Torah identified the leader that it was talking about before. So then the pshat on the pasuk, the way to read this pasuk will be as follows: Sha'at Tevois V'yerd Mi Yaakov. These words, V'yerd Mi Yaakov, there'll be a ruler, a leader, a king from Yaakov. Boys behemshich l'mashe kasav le'el. It's taka a follow up to what it says before, Dorach Koichav Mi Yaakov, that there'll be a star that will shoot from Yaakov. She'enyana yakum mazel leYaakov. So what did we say before? That what is this koichav referring to? It refers to the good fortune of Yidden, to the mazel, that will be by Yaakov. Bezeh, and now before we said, what's that good fortune? So now this good fortune, the Torah then spells out, will be contains in it and will be expressed in two time periods. One is Shevekam Shevet Mi Yisrael. As we said before, that there will be a king amongst Yidden, which refers to David. And then the Chazar Akasav Loimet Oidin Yim Bezeh, and then the Torah comes back to elaborate what that good fortune of Yaakov is, that it includes another detail. V'yed mi Yaakov, that Oidapam Yaakov Mazel Yaakov, that once again the good fortune of Yaakov will rise, that there'll be another ruler that will come from Yaakov. So the Torah tells you in a general term that there'll be good fortune, and then the Torah spells out that good fortune will be that there'll be two kings. One is the V'kam Shevet Mi Yisrael, which refers to David HaMelech, and then another good fortune will be another king, which is V'yerd Mi Yaakov. So the Torah wrote over here specifically V'yerd Mi Yaakov to clarify that this new ruler is spelling out the second goodness of the fortune that the pasuk said before when it said Yakum Mazel, when it said V'yerd Mi Yaakov, when it said before Dorach Koichav Mi Yaakov. That's how you're supposed to read. That's the flow of the psukim here according to Rashi. So now we understand very well why when Rashi says it's pshat, he quotes from the pasuk the word Mi Yaakov, although it just seems like he's coming to identify V'yerd, who's this ruler. It's this word which is proving his pshat, that we have a new ruler that we're talking about over here. It's not referring to the same king that before was identified as Yisrael. Rather, it's referring to Yaakov that it spoke about before, Dorach Koichav Mi Yaakov, which is the mazel of Yaakov, and now the Torah spells out that that good mazel of Yaakov will once again come up, and that'll be a new ruler. However, Adayin ein dai by Chachazul Farish Tekev B'dibur Zeh al V'yerd Mi Yaakov the Koyal Mashiach. Still, there's not enough of a raya to say right over here when Rashi says that there's going to be a new ruler to identify that this actually refers to Mashiach. Why not? Although Bilam does say that he's saying a prophecy about the end of days. So therefore there is definitely room to say that since he uses the term achras hayamim, so at least part of the psukim, or at least the last pasuk of this nevuah, does actually literally refer to Achras Hayamim, which is Lizmanei Shel Melech HaMashiach, the time period of Mashiach. So although the Rebbe explained before that Rashi teaches Achras Hayamim in this context of what Bilam is telling Balak, Shaloi Kipshutai, it just refers to a time period much after Balak will be gone, but it does say Achras Hayamim. So therefore there's definitely place to say that at least something of what this nevuah is speaking about does refer to Mashiach. And in addition, we have a raya that V'yer refers to another ruler. So if you combine these 2 points, it should lead you to the conclusion that who are we talking about? On one hand it says Achras Hayamim, the end of all days, and it says that we're talking about a new ruler. So 2 and 2, you put it together, 1 and 1 over here, these 2 details, you put it together, you have Mashiach. But however, because nevertheless, ein dai bezel achriach shal melech HaMashiach ha'imekain. These 2 rayas, putting them together, is not enough to force us to say that we're talking about Mashiach. Kiyim ayidei rayas ma'akosav atzmai. Rashi wants to have a raya from the actual terminology of this pasuk itself, v'yerd miyakiv, and also of what it says afterwards, v'hevid sored mi'ir, looking into the actual content of this and the words of this pasuk itself to force us to say that we're talking about Mashiach. It's not enough just to prove it from the expression of Achras Hayamim in the beginning and the word v'yerd miyakiv, that since it said Yaakov and we know that it's a new ruler, that it refers to Mashiach, if we don't see in the actual content of the pasuk itself that it's talking about Mashiach. Ki yakosev v'yerd miyam geimer eina raya maspika shakoya melech HaMashiach. Looking at the actual reading of the words of the pasuk itself, not in relation to the word Achras Hayamim that it said before, and not in relation to the terminology that it said before, Dorach Koichav Miyakev and V'kom Shevet MiYisrael. In this pasuk itself, there's not enough of a raya that it refers to Mashiach. V'adarabba, bepashtus av shaloimar, shepasuk zeh kechalois hamizmor, that keklolos hamizmor. So this pasuk. So the Rebbe over here actually again. I'm going to start this paragraph again, and the Rebbe says that ki akosav v'yerd miyam. So the Rebbe first begins. So Rashi, when he brings rayas that we're talking over here about Mashiach, right? Looking at the actual content of pasuk Yutes itself. When Rashi brings rayas that we're talking about Mashiach, so one pasuk Rashi brings is v'yerd miyam ad yam. Another pasuk Rashi brings v'lo yiyeh sared lebeis Esav. So first the Rebbe is going to explain that v'yerd miyam ad yam itself is not an adequate raya. V'lo yiyeh sared lebeis Esav is a raya that's l'chayre, makes more sense. Why is that? Ki akosav v'yerd miyam, this pasuk that he will rule from sea to sea, ein a raya maspika shakoya melech HaMashiach. It's not enough of a raya that it refers to Mashiach. V'adarabba, kanal sif beis, bepashtus ef shaloimar, shepasuk zeh, keklolos hamizmar mechovan l'shloima melech. The whole mizmar there in Tilim is talking about Shlomo Melech. She David is spalal olav sheyiu etzlei kola and yonam eilu. The David davened for his son Shlomo that he should have all of these things here. El dim komakim maybe Rashi raya misham. We will soon explain why Rashi does bring the pasuk v'yerd miyam ad yam. Aval rak lachrei shekvar ichriach the pasuk dilon koya melech HaMashiach l'kamon sivches. First, Rashi is going to show how you could see from the content of this pasuk, when it describes what this ruler is going to do. V'hevid sared mi'ir, only after we see from the content of the pasuk that it's talking about Mashiach, then we'll understand why Rashi brings v'yerd miyam ad yam. But the first thing is, Rashi wants to bring a raya from the content of this pasuk that will be machriach, that will force us to say that we're talking about Mashiach. L'chei makdim Rashi mefarish, tevois v'hevid sared mi'ir. So therefore Rashi first explains what is the meaning of a hevid sared mi'ir, that he will destroy the leftovers of the city. And Rashi says, Me'ir hachashuva shel Edom vihi Roimi, that this refers to the main city of Edom, which is Roimi, Rome. Hainu, so what Rashi is telling us is, the mima shenema me'ir stam, it says that he's going to destroy the leftovers of the city, and it doesn't say which city. Harei barer shezui ir hayodua shel hamemshala hayodua mikvar. This has to be referring to a city that's known from before. Hainu ha'ir ha'chashuva shel memshalas Edom. This refers to the main city of the kingdom of Edom, V'seir, and say Haneskeres because of Leil, which is already mentioned. Edom is mentioned already before in the pasuk. So when it says over here V'hevet sared mi'ir, it's referring to memshalas Edom, which is mentioned already in Chumash Bereshis. That's where we see here, this is what proves that we're talking about Mashiach. Once we know that it's talking about Edom, Rome, the main city of Edom, so now Rashi proves from the pasuk and that pasuk is clearly a nevuah for Mashiach. Raya Bruda, that's a clear proof. Shagam pasuk dilon vehevet sarid mi'ir shel Edom beis Esav koi al melech HaMashiach. That here in this pasuk, when it uses the same terminology, sarid, to remove the leftovers of the city, that it refers to melech HaMashiach. V'shahu hu ha'moishel acher ha'merum is b'v'yerd mi'Yaakov. And this is the new ruler that we see hinted in the pasuk when it says v'yerd mi'Yaakov. So Rashi didn't immediately identify right in the beginning who this ruler is, because although you could sort of put it together on your own and see that we're talking about the new ruler and that refers to Mashiach, but it's not mukhrich, not necessarily. In the content of the pasuk itself, you don't see it yet. So first, Rashi shows you how in the content of the pasuk we are forced to say that the term Sarid Meir refers to Mashiach. And then Rashi identifies that this is speaking about Mashiach. And we understand that the new ruler here that we said in the beginning refers to Mashiach. Now the Rebbe comes back to V'yerd miyom ad yom. So why does Rashi bring the raya from V'yerd miyom ad yom that he will rule from sea to sea? What's the necessity of that raya? And why would it go on Mashiach if Bepashtus in the Mizmor there in Tilim it refers to Shlomo Melech? Afalpi, the Mevehevid, Levad, Yesh, Hechrech, Maspik. So although from the Pasuk Vehevid we have already a clear raya that it refers to Mashiach. Kol Mokem, maybe Rashi Gamas Arayim, V'yerd miyom ad yom. Rashi also brings the proof from V'yerd miyom ad yom. Kedei lahadgish, shegami tevis v'yerd gufa, to show you and to emphasize that even from the very word v'yerd itself, shemashmusa moishel, it means a ruler, mimena atzma mashma shezeu melech HaMashiach. That word itself also implies that we're talking about Mashiach. Ulezeh maitik Rashi es atevais ad yom. And for this, Rashi has to conclude and bring the full quote here, V'yerd miyom ad yom. And he will rule from sea to sea. It's only that shows that we're talking about Mashiach. Kimihen mashma shemedubah b'melech HaMashiach. V'yerd miyom ad yom. What does it mean that he rules from sea to sea? Pirusha v'pashtos sheyimsha al kol haaretz kula. It means that he rules the entire world from sea to sea. Miyom b'ktzea echad ad yom b'ktzea hasheni. From the sea in one place in the world, from one end of the world to the other end of the world. This is not something we find by Shlomo Melech, Kiyim b'Mashiach, only by Mashiach. Therefore Rashi says that this refers to the Melucha of Mashiach. So going back to the capital in Tilim there, Sha'am Mizmer b'chlalusai, harei tfilas David al Shlomo benoi, it's David HaMelech davening for his son Shlomo HaMelech, Mikol Mokim, Mefarish Rashi, here Rashi says, Sheprate mesuyamim mitfilasai, there are certain details of David HaMelech's tfilah that loy neskaymu b'Shlomo. They weren't fulfilled in Shlomo HaMelech himself. Kiyim b'Mashiach ben David u'Shlomo. They are fulfilled by Mashiach, which is not only a descendant of David HaMelech, but is also a descendant of Shlomo HaMelech. As the Rebbe brings there in the footnote, the sources for this, that Mashiach has to also be a descendant of Shlomo HaMelech, and therefore David HaMelech's tefillah will be fulfilled by the descendant of Shlomo. So that's why Rashi quotes the words Ad Yom. That's the proof that it's talking about Mashiach. This pshat in the pasuk is not, we don't have to say this. You could b'doichik say that v'yerd miyom ad yom does refer to Shlomo HaMelech himself. Like the general theme of this mizmor. Miyom ad yom, eine miyamsuf ad yam plishtim. Miyom ad yom, even though it's just saying from sea to sea, and it doesn't spell out, and it would simply mean from one end of the world to the other, but we will say that it refers from the Yam Suf until Yam Plishtim, which is in Eretz Yisrael, and it only refers to the time of Shlomo HaMelech. So l'chein, maybe Rashi raya zu, so Rashi is bringing this raya, rak la'achrei shepirish teves v'hevet sarid. Only after Rashi identifies what v'hevet sarid means, the koi al Raimi, that it refers to Rome. The pasuk dilon shekasav by v'yerd koi al Mashiach kanal siv zayin. So that is what actually forces us to say that this pasuk refers to Mashiach. That's the main raya. From the content of the pasuk, v'hevet sarid mi'ir, here we know for sure that it talks about Mashiach. Kimikan yesh Rashi raya lepirushi. And then after that, Rashi says, now I have a raya to my new pshat that I'm saying in Tilim, Gamba Kosabit Tilim, the Koi al Melech HaMashiach. That also the pasuk V'yerd miyom ad yom, which is similar to the expression that it says over here, V'yerd mi Yaakov, that this refers to Mashiach. So Rashi is bringing two rayas here, that these psukim talk about Mashiach, because Rashi wants to point out that the word V'yerd is going on Mashiach, like you see V'yerd miyom ad yom. But that raya alone would not be a raya, because the pashtus you could say it goes on Shlomo Melech. So therefore Rashi first spells out V'hevid sored mi'ir. That forces us to say that Val Melech HaMashiach oime came. And then Rashi comes back, Shenema boy V'yerd miyom ad yom. Regarding Mashiach it says V'yerd miyom ad yom, so now we can go back and say that V'yerd goes on Mashiach. And V'lo sored levei seisov, that is the raya that Rashi brings, that the term sored over here refers to the melucha of Melech HaMashiach. Okay, so the Rebbe explained this over here, the teichen of these psukim, both according to the Rambam and according to Rashi, what's the nevuah of Bilam all about? According to Rashi, the ikar teichen of the nevuah of Bilam and the psukim of Yudzayin and Yudches is not talking about Achras Hayom. It's talking about a time later after Balak. And it's Bilam justifying his failure to Balak and saying what's going to happen a time later. And then only later in Pasuk Yutes does Rashi have a hechrich in the words V'yerd mi Yaakov and V'hevid sored mi'ir and so on. Here Rashi has a chreichin to say that this is a new pasuk that talks about Mashiach, and even according to Rashi, the Achris Hayomim could be interpreted kipshutoi as far as this pasuk is concerned. Hashenken, according to the Rambam, the entire psukim, all of the psukim here is talking about Mashiach. Even when the Rambam says that we're talking about David HaMelech, we're talking about David HaMelech as the beginning of the Melucha, which will ultimately be fully realized and fully fulfilled by the Melucha of Melech HaMashiach, as the Rebbe explained in the Sikha Barichas.